Hello, and welcome to Sleep Stories World. I'd like to invite you to step into a world of relaxation and tranquility with this bedtime story, designed to help you unwind and de-stress. By engaging in this story, you can embark on a journey that nurtures and soothes your mind, promoting overall well-being through sound, restful sleep. Before we begin, let's prepare your space for rest. Ensure you're somewhere comfortably cool, dark, and quiet. If you need to adjust anything, your curtains, your temperature, your pillows, please do so now. When you're ready, lie down and let yourself settle into your bed. Feel the weight of your body being supported. You may want to cover yourself with a light blanket as your body relaxes. Now, gently close your eyes. There's nothing you need to see anymore tonight. Your only task now is to be here, allowing yourself to receive the gift of rest. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth. Breathe in deeply, feeling your chest expand. Breathe out, feeling your body sink deeper into your bed. In and out. With each breath, you're signaling to your body that it's safe to rest. Now, imagine being surrounded by a warm, vibrant light. This light is gentle and comforting, carrying with it a deep sense of peace and safety. As you breathe in, let this warm light fill your chest. As you breathe out, imagine it spreading gently through your upper body. Breathe in, and let the light expand through your shoulders, your arms, your back. Breathe out, and feel it filling your stomach, your neck, your head, every space within you glowing softly. If a thought comes by, acknowledge it like watching a leaf float by on a gentle stream, and then let it drift away. There will be time for those thoughts later. Now is for rest. On your next breath in, let the warm light travel downward. Feel it reach your hips, your thighs, your knees. Breathe out, and sense it flowing down to your ankles, to your toes. Every part of you now is surrounded by this gentle, warm glow. You are completely enveloped in comfort and peace. Focus on your breath and the warm light surrounding you. If your mind wanders, simply guide it back, gently, to your breath, to the light. You are safe. You are comfortable. You are exactly where you need to be. As we move into tonight's story, allow yourself to let go even more. Let the words wash over you like a gentle tide. You don't need to follow every detail. Simply receive the story as a gift, a soft companion as you journey toward sleep. And now, let us begin. As we continue our journey through the Arctic winter, let us turn our attention to something truly magical, something so delicate and intricate that it seems almost impossible that nature could create it. Snow. Not just snow as a blanket of white covering the ground, but snow as individual crystals. Each one a tiny work of art. Each one unique. Each one telling the story of its journey from sky to earth. A snowflake begins its life high in the atmosphere, so high that if you were standing on the ground looking up, you wouldn't be able to see where it started. The story begins when a tiny speck of dust or pollen, something so small you could never see it with the naked eye, floats through a cloud. Water vapor in the air encounters this tiny particle and something remarkable happens. The water vapor doesn't condense into a liquid droplet first. Instead, it transforms directly from gas to solid, from vapor to ice. This process is called deposition, and it's how all snow crystals are born. At the very center of every snowflake, every single one that has ever fallen, there is a perfect hexagonal ring of water molecules. Six-sided. This hexagonal shape isn't random or accidental. It's determined by the chemistry of water itself, by the angle at which water molecules naturally bond to one another. When water freezes, the molecules connect at 60-degree angles, and this creates the six-sided pattern that appears in every ice crystal. This is why snowflakes have 6 arms, 6 branches, 6 points of symmetry. It's built into the very structure of ice itself. As the tiny ice crystal begins to fall through the atmosphere, it encounters water vapor along the way. This vapor freezes onto the crystal, making it grow. The crystal gets larger and larger, building outward from that original hexagonal core. But here's where the story becomes truly fascinating. The shape the crystal takes, whether it grows into a flat plate or a tall column, whether it develops intricate branches or remains simple and compact, all of this is determined by the temperature and humidity the crystal experiences as it falls. Scientists have discovered that at different temperatures, ice crystals grow in different ways. Between 0 and -3 degrees Celsius, just below freezing, small plates and stars tend to form. As the temperature drops to between -3 and -10 degrees Celsius, the crystals change their behavior entirely. They grow into thin needles and long columns, shapes that look nothing like the classic 6-point snowflake most people imagine. Between -10 and -22 degrees Celsius, we enter the realm of the most beautiful snow crystals. Here, depending on the humidity, the crystals can form as plates or as large, branched structures. Around -15 degrees Celsius, in conditions of high humidity, the most spectacular stellar dendrites form. Those classic, intricate snowflakes with elaborate branches and sub-branches that look like tiny ferns made of ice. These are the snowflakes that appear in photographs and decorations, the ones that seem almost too perfect to be real. And yet, they are real. They form naturally, guided by nothing more than temperature, humidity, and the fundamental properties of water molecules. What makes each snowflake unique is the path it takes through the sky. As a crystal falls, it might begin forming in one temperature zone, then drift into a warmer layer of air, then back into a colder layer. Each change in temperature causes the crystal to adjust how it grows. If a crystal starts growing as a column in air around -5 degrees, and then falls into warmer air where plates form, the result is something called a capped column, a cylinder of ice with flat hexagonal plates growing from each end, like wheels on an axle. Because every snowflake takes a slightly different path through the atmosphere, because each one experiences slightly different combinations of temperature and humidity, each crystal develops its own unique geometry. The old saying is true: no two snowflakes are exactly alike. With so many possible combinations of conditions, with so many ways that ice can grow, the chances of two crystals following identical paths and forming identical shapes are essentially zero. Over the years, scientists have developed classification systems for snow crystals. In the 1930s, there were 21 different classifications. By 2013, that number had grown to 121 distinct types. And researchers continue to discover new variations, new categories, new ways that ice can arrange itself into patterns of crystalline beauty. But in the Arctic winter, snow takes forms beyond the familiar flakes that fall from clouds. Here, in the extreme cold, other types of ice crystals appear, each with its own poetic name. There is diamond dust. On the coldest, clearest days, when the temperature drops to -13 degrees Celsius or lower, tiny ice crystals can form directly in the air near the ground. These are not snowflakes falling from clouds. They are ice crystals that appear out of seemingly empty air, materializing when water vapor freezes directly into ice without needing a cloud at all. Diamond dust is composed of very small, unbranched crystals, usually shaped like tiny six-sided pencils. They are so small and so few in number that they are often hard to see at first. But when sunlight or moonlight strikes them, they sparkle and flash, tiny points of light glittering in the air like diamonds suspended in the atmosphere. This glittering effect gives the phenomenon its beautiful name. Diamond dust forms when a temperature inversion is present, when warmer air above the ground mixes with colder air near the surface. This mixing transports water vapor downward, increasing the relative humidity near the ground. If the air is cold enough, ice crystals simply appear, floating in the air, drifting slowly downward, catching the light. In Antarctica, at Plateau Station, diamond dust is observed on average 316 days per year. More than 70% of the precipitation that fell there in 1967 fell in the form of diamond dust. It is sometimes called clear sky precipitation, because it can fall even when the sky is cloudless, ice crystals appearing from air that looks perfectly clear. Then there is hoarfrost. Hoarfrost forms when water vapor in the air encounters a solid surface that's colder than the atmosphere around it. The vapor transforms directly into ice crystals, creating delicate, feathery structures that coat branches, fences, and any exposed surface. The crystals interlock with one another, building outward in intricate patterns that look like white lace or like salt crystals around the rim of a glass. The word hoarfrost comes from the Old English word hoary, meaning white or gray with age. On a cold morning after a clear night, hoarfrost transforms the Arctic landscape into something from a fairy tale. Every twig, every blade of grass, every surface covered in a coating of white crystal that sparkles in the faint light. And there is rime ice, though rime is different from hoarfrost in how it forms. Rime develops when water droplets suspended in freezing fog strike a cold surface and instantly freeze. Unlike hoarfrost, which forms from vapor, rime forms from liquid water that freezes on contact. It's denser than hoarfrost, harder, more compact. Rime can build up in thick layers, creating heavy coatings of ice that cling stubbornly to everything they touch. All of these forms of ice, snowflakes, diamond dust, hoarfrost, rime, are variations on a single theme. They are all water that has transformed from one state to another. They are all the result of temperature, humidity, and the unchanging geometry of water molecules arranging themselves into hexagonal patterns. In the Arctic winter, snow accumulates slowly. The air is so cold that it holds very little moisture, and so the snowfall is light, often just a few centimeters over many months. But what snow does fall remains. It doesn't melt. Instead, it builds up, layer upon layer, creating a record of the winter's weather. Like tree rings telling the story of a tree's life, layers of snow tell the story of the winter, each layer reflecting the conditions that existed when it fell. The snow on the ground transforms over time. Fresh snow is fluffy and light, full of air trapped between the delicate crystal branches. But as days pass, the crystals begin to change. They metamorphose, losing their intricate shapes, becoming more rounded, more compact. The snow settles and densifies, slowly transforming from fresh powder into something harder, more solid. This process continues for months. By the time spring arrives, the snow that fell early in winter has been transformed into something quite different from what it was when it first touched the ground. But even as it changes, even as it settles and compacts, the snow remains beautiful. It covers the Arctic landscape in a blanket of white that reflects what little light exists, making the darkness slightly less dark, the world slightly less harsh. As you imagine the Arctic snow, think of each flake as a tiny miracle. Think of the journey each crystal made, falling from high in the atmosphere, growing and changing as it descended, finally coming to rest on the frozen ground. Think of the diamond dust sparkling in the air on the coldest days. Think of the hoarfrost coating every surface with delicate crystal lace. Each crystal is temporary, each one will eventually melt or sublimate back into vapor. But while it exists, it is perfect. While it exists, it is unique. While it exists, it is beautiful. Let the image of falling snow settle into your thoughts, millions of tiny crystals drifting silently through the dark Arctic sky. Each one different, each one following its own path, all of them together creating the peaceful winter landscape. Let their gentle descent become your own descent, into rest, into peace, into sleep.